Hello everyone, I'm Zoltan the Gamerman, and today I'll be sharing with you my honest thoughts on the Game Awards Game of the Year 2021, Hazelight Studios and EA Games, It Takes Two. I want to start things off by saying that I finished this game with a friend way back in March of last year when it first came out, and I did want to make a video about it, but then I thought, meh, it's really entertaining and the mechanics are awesome and the gameplay is super engaging and I've had an absolute blast playing it, but it probably won't make that much of a splash in the gaming world, so I skipped it. And I have to admit,
I've never been so wrong in all my life.
So after eating a mountain of crow and replaying the game again, I am here now to talk to you beautiful people about It Takes Two's looks, its sounds, a little about its story, and most importantly, the absolute loads and loads of fun you can have while playing the game with a friend, a significant other, or a family member, and how close it can bring you to each other while playing through it. So let's get right into it. It Takes Two's looks did not make me go, whoa, when I first saw it, and I cannot call the game's graphics revolutionary or realistic or lifelike or anything like that. But that's not a problem, because this is a game about two people turning into little toy dolls and navigating through the environments in and around their house. And when it came to showing every enlarged environment, all of the ordinary, everyday objects that now looked huge, and the tools that were put at the player's disposal to navigate through the game world, which were all small, average objects turned ingeniously into extremely useful instruments to aid us on our journey, by the way, were all really well thought out to the smallest detail and all looked, if not realistic, then really befitting to the entire ambiance of the game and the overall aesthetic of it. And this was all really great and enjoyable and immersive and all. However, there is quite the gap between how the magically transformed characters look and how their real-life counterparts do. The human, Cody and May, the game's main characters, when shown in their not transformed state, look absolutely lifeless and clay-like, not to mention their daughter, Rose, who gave both me and my friends the heebie-jeebies every time she was shown on the screen. I mean, just look at those glassy, expressionless dead eyes on that poor child and tell me that you wouldn't turn tail and run as fast as you can in the other direction if you saw her approaching. Yeah. It is clear as day that the game's developers focused most of their efforts into making the actual gameplay parts look and play as superbly as possible, and they did a bang-up job of that. This, however, meant that other aspects did not receive as much attention, and that sadly shows. So all that said, It Takes Two's looks are
sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
And now, let's hop on over to sound.
Oh, we were just scouting, preparing for the mission.
Yeah, right. Preparation is key.
Enough already! Okay, let's get this ball rolling then.
Slice it up, man!
This is an area where It Takes Two excels from almost every point of view. Let's kick this part off with the voice acting. The main characters' voice actors did a very decent job of portraying them with very few missed beats, and they did manage to get their messages across in the overwhelming majority of times. The secondary characters also did pretty okay, with some giving quite believable performances and others missing the mark by a bit, but there was nothing that made me go,
Man, that sucks!
except, again, in the case of Rose, the daughter. First of all, there wasn't even a shadow of a doubt right from the get-go that this was an adult actress trying to imitate a child and doing a very creepy job of it. And the fact that this was so blatantly obvious did not help her almost emotionless, dead-in-the-water delivery one bit. And all of this, coupled with the plasticky, nightmare-inducing character model, all made for an uncannily underwhelming acting performance, yet a bone-chilling presence on screen. And I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think this was the creator's intention all along. Moving on to the sounds during gameplay, here, I have nothing to reproach. The various environments all had their very own subtle, yet at the same time unique and distinguished background melodies, environmental sounds, and undertones. The various tools that the characters had at their disposal also sounded great and contributed to our immersion significantly. In conclusion, sounds are kind of the same as the looks. Almost perfect during gameplay, but somewhat lacking in the cutscenes, especially when Rose was on screen. Moving on now to a bit about the story. It Takes Two's premise is interesting and engaging. It starts out with the main characters, Cody and May, an unhappily married couple, raising a little girl, Rose. When May and Cody finally decide to call it quits and get a divorce, little dead-eyed Rosie decides that she isn't having any of that and tries to bring her parents back together with the help of the magical book of love written by the world-famous love expert, Dr. Hakim, who is also somehow the book itself come to life or something. I don't know, it's really confusing and it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I guess it's needed to kickstart and move the plot along, so whatever, let's go with it's magic. Anyway, Rose cries some enchanted tears onto some toy dolls, and lo and behold, her parents' consciousnesses are transported into the dolls while their bodies just roam around the family house like emotionless, death-faced zombies. And that's where the adventure begins. The clay doll Cody and wooden doll May are confronted by the love book, who would hands down, without a doubt, win the most annoying game character of all time award if there were one. Actually, is there such an award? Let me know down in the comments, and also let me know if you agree with me or if you know of a character that is even more annoying than this butt-chin book. And please don't forget to leave a like on the video if you enjoy it, and subscribe to my channel if you like my content. Thank you very, very much. Anyway, the divorcees must work together to find a way to break the spell and return to their bodies so that they can say I do to their divorce lawyers, while the loathsome love book throws them into various situations to try and get them to work out their differences and reconcile. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking, nothing revolutionary, but the way the story is told, and especially how it progresses through the gameplay, is just absolutely super satisfying. And I'll let you find the rest out for yourself. So let's take it over now to the best part of It Takes Two, the gameplay. I can honestly say that I've never had as much fun playing with a friend as I have while working our way through It Takes Two, twice. I mean, it was just as much, if not even more fun the second time around. Granted, since I was already familiar with the game for the second playthrough, there were times when I got a bit selfish and went way far ahead in the section than having to wait for my buddy to figure out the latest puzzle and catch up with me. And I was determined not to help him out too much, not because I'm an asshole, but because I knew how satisfying it was to discover the solutions to the always different and always super engaging puzzles that the game offered up. At some segments, when the puzzles started to get a bit more complicated, my ever so enthusiastic buddy who was playing the game for the first time, he sometimes took a bit longer to figure out what he needed to do, but I was always okay watching him work it out, sometimes thinking,
You're a little confused, but he got the spirit.
And even when I was waiting around and encouraging him and watching him work out even the sometimes more tedious parts, it was always super fun and kept the both of us engaged all the time. Now, what we loved most about It Takes Two was the variety. I mean, there are no two segments alike. Each and every place that we had to run, jump, shoot, and fly our way through was different than the last, and it offered up a whole new set of puzzles and challenges and gameplay mechanics that we had to figure out. There was a place where Cody could shoot honey out of a cannon, and May had a matchstick gun that could set the honey on fire. There was another when they both had fidget spinners that they could ride around on, and yet another where Cody had to throw nails into wooden planks, which May could use to swing around on with the help of a hammerhead, and so much more. But the most amazing part was that each and every instrument and tool and weapon that the two came across all had to be used while working together. There is virtually no puzzle in this game that can be solved solo. Each and every bit requires the two players to cooperate and get through it all, helping and trusting each other. I mean, there are some mini games in which the players can compete against each other, and all of these were quite varied as well, although they weren't nearly as engaging as the main gameplay. Honestly, I cannot emphasize how much amazing and awesome variety that this game has. Aside from some of the cinematics in which Dr. Annoying Book explained in a rather long-winded fashion what the couple's next tasks were, we were never ever bored with It Takes Two. And while going through the segments and overcoming the challenges the game threw at us, we kept discovering little elements and mechanics that the game borrowed from other games like Ratchet & Clank and Crash Bandicoot, and it even features a top-down segment reminiscent of the Diablo games. But none of these ever felt out of place, not even for a second. The developers did a superb job of adapting each and every element borrowed to perfectly fit within the game's atmosphere and environment and gameplay. And while some segments, especially some of the boss fights, could be quite difficult, they were never too overwhelming or annoying once we got the hang of our new tools and abilities. Working together and kicking enemy butt was a blast from beginning to end. I feel it's my duty to issue a warning though. While the game features cutesy graphics and talking squirrels and bees and elements of magic, and it does not feature any blood or gore, there were several occasions throughout It Takes Two due to which me and my partners both agreed that this game is definitely not a game for children. From forcing a vacuum to slowly and painfully suck its own eyeballs out, to straight up torturing and ripping the limbs off of a poor plush elephant, to Dr. Buttchin straight out cursing several times, I think that any children playing It Takes Two would be staring down the barrel of some serious
Emotional damage!
These very disturbing and shocking elements aside though, gameplay is the true highlight of It Takes Two. It is really and truly
Awesome! Totally awesome!
It Takes Two isn't a very long game, but that's perfectly fine. I think that it's just the right length for a co-op game of this type. And to be honest, thanks to its wide variety of places and challenges and combination of several different gameplay elements and mechanics, it actually felt somewhat longer than it was, but not at all in a bad way. Finishing the game took me and my friends about 1 to 1.5 weekends both times. And both times, when me and my buddy sat down to play, we could not stop for several hours. It was so much fun. It can probably take a bit more, like maybe even 3 weekends if you play casually for just a couple of hours each session, but I really think that most players who try It Takes Two won't be able to get up after just a couple of hours of playing. As I've said several times in this video, I really enjoyed playing through It Takes Two on both occasions. And on both occasions, I've noticed the shortcomings it has that I've also described in this video. And on both occasions, I have also thought that it was one of the best times that I've had gaming with a friend. Yes, it does have ugly human characters and an annoying-ass book that made me want to jump up out of my seat and headbutt the screen every time he was on it, and quite an average story. What it also has is super fun and immersive gameplay that managed to bring the best out of both me and whoever I was playing with. I mean, instead of yelling at each other and arguing whenever one of us messed up, we just laughed it up and did our best to assist each other and come out on top of every obstacle and challenge together, like family. So far, It Takes Two is the best damn co-op game that I've ever played and one of the few games that I would enjoy playing through several more times thanks to its variety and power to engage and bring its cooperating players together. All that said, it is my duty as a self-appointed amateur video game reviewer to take into account the game as a whole, looks and sounds and story and all, and not just its great elements when rating it, so as a package, I give It Takes Two an 8.5. Alright, you beautiful people, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like if you've enjoyed it, let me know in the comments what your favorite co-op game is, and subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content like this. I'm Zoltan the Gamer Man, and these have been my honest thoughts on It Takes Two. Take care, be well, and don't forget, keep on gaming.